gather round, I want to tell you a tale of the three basses. I decided to tackle two, that's right, two songs. Hi, question. What if the ethereal vocal-focused soundtrack of Nier Automata was over-the-top aggressive like that of Doom Eternal? Well, now there's an answer because I, Jeffrey Day, have made not one, but two new pieces of music so full of rage that if played in-game, there would be only one path the plot could follow, which is that 2B kills all the machines without batting an eyelash and then shoots a hole into the surface of the moon. Why would she do that, you ask? Well, it's because you don't need to back up your memory data if you will never be defeated. Use the timestamp below to skip to the final product if you must, and for the first time ever, this video was brought to you in part by my wonderful patrons. Stick around to the end for credits and info about the benefits. I gotta say, Kina outdid herself with this artwork. It's unbelievable. She's a powerhouse, and her links are in the description below, so go give her a follow. Well, we've got a lot to get to, so let's end this intro right now and get to the good stuff. Come on! Nier Automata, not to be confused with the Nier games made a decade ago or the more recent remake of Replicant, is one part bullet hell, one part Bayonetta simulator, one part Pacific Rim, and one part existential crisis, all taking place in a world where robots are machines and androids are robots but bleed like people, and emotional robots can birth android robot people, and there's a direct connection to the plot of Drakengard, even though it's a bit of a stretch, and one of the NPCs is named Jackass, like that's their actual name and everybody's real casual about it. Where have I seen this projectile stuff before? Oh yeah, Returnal came out recently. Unlike fledgling stand-up comedian turned game director Hugo Martin, Nier's director and head writer Yoko Taro doesn't really like being on screen. He's a pretty cerebral guy, which explains the mountain of logical unpacking that you'll have to do when finishing a game like Nier Automata. Speaking of unpacking, let's talk about the soundtrack. First, any game with Borderlands-style joke music is a win in my book.
Every day's a sale, every sale's a win. I won't even charge you a markup.
Second, when you use 9S to hack enemies, the background music starts playing a retro game version of the orchestral song that was playing just a moment before without missing a beat. And third, the vocal performance is just incredible. The composer credits list 3 people, most notable of which is Keiichi Okabe, but more accurately, the entire trio is part of a studio called Monica, which Okabe heads as CEO. This studio, originally founded as part of the old school Namco, does a ton of work for TV, movies, and games in Japan. When it came to Nier, they did almost all of the production in their little studio space, with the exception of stuff that requires its own space, like an orchestra. I'm not gonna lie, working at Monica looks like a super fun job. The Nier Automata soundtrack, and really all of Okabe's soundtracks for this franchise, remind me of Horizon Zero Dawn. Both Nier and Horizon are similar in that composers wanted to mix a mainstream movie score with a sound that is foreign and unrecognizable. In Horizon, that means finding new ways to play instruments, and in Nier, that means singing lyrics in a made-up language. Doom Eternal's soundtrack, hilariously, also sings lyrics, aka screams lyrics, in a made-up language. And it finds new ways to change the sound of well-known instruments like guitars and synthesizers, mostly with distortion. I'm starting to see a pattern here. You know, this gives me a bunch of ideas, and I'm itching to get started on the music, so let's talk more about Doom while I'm working. Come on. Guys, the Nier soundtrack is so good that I had trouble picking out which songs to cover. And I saw from your comments that there are a lot of favorites, so instead of doing just one cover or a medley, I decided to tackle 2, that's right, 2 songs. First is a beautiful song, obviously. This one's a jam. It's a bit overplayed at this point, but you know what? It could use a new twist, and I like it. But for the second one, I decided to take on Emile/Despair, which, okay, this is a spoiler, so shut off this video if you haven't played, which is the battle theme, which plays when you fight Emile's barrage of heads by completing his side quests in Automata and doing some serious leveling up. But anyway, let's start with a beautiful song, because I did something pretty different this time, and it's the more interesting project to talk about. So, in Nier Automata, this song plays when you battle a giant opera-singing robot woman in the amusement park who uses captured android bodies as weapons. So, it got me thinking. In Doom 2016, cybernetics and metal and robots usually mean more electronic music, so let's go all in with Doom synths like Vega Core or Mastermind, yeah? Huh? Good idea? Interestingly, the Vega Core sound is way less prominent in Eternal, and that supports my theory further. The enemies and environments aren't nearly as metal-y, and there's less stuff happening on Mars. The Eternal song Gladiator comes to mind, which is almost entirely electronic and has a totally different aesthetic than something like Mastermind or Cyberdemon. But I digress. Before we do anything, let's deal with the lyrics. I picked up the infamous East-West Symphonic Choirs because it can sing any lyrics. But only sorta good. This is what all the lyrics typed into the plugin sounds like. Okay, it's not very realistic. I wanted a different texture anyway though, so let's use a vocoder and make it sound kinda Daft Punk, but not too much robot-y. I went ahead and recorded some fake whispery scream sounds too, because this song is vocal heavy, and I guess a Doom Eternal cameo is better than doing nothing at all. Gather round, I want to tell you a tale of the three basses. There's thumpy bass, and honky bass, and angry bass. The first two basses are just simple synth patches. However, angry bass started when I recorded a billion sounds using my tube hardware. What kind of ridiculous accent is this? I have no idea. Basically, all I did was chop up those sounds and then squish a kick drum into it, and we're pretty close to that Doom bass. It is worth mentioning that a friend of mine named Audio Freak made a much, much better one, which sends the kick in through the hardware with the bass too, instead of separating them like I did. He was talking about the technique in my super secret Discord. There's no drum set in this project, so in true Vega Core fashion, I spent most of my time adding little sound effects and rhythm stuff to keep it interesting. The sounds mostly started as regular boring things, but with the right processing, they can sound more mechanical. I had some leftover sounds from my recording session earlier, so I used them as a bass sound for some atmosphere. I think this song genre should be called drum and bass, because at this point, it's almost entirely drums and basses. Okay, the first song is done. Without further ado, a Nier Automata cover in the style of Doom 2016. A beautiful song. Enjoy! it's not over yet! While you were listening to that one, I finished up my second cover. I think I've set a record for production time, don't you think? Let's hear it right now. Emile Despair in the style of Doom Eternal. Enjoy. Hi again. That second song was written as a loop like the original, so that's why it was shorter. Anyway, what did you think of both of those? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to support my work and these videos, as well as get access to deep dives, stems, and live streams, or get your music in my videos, or get access to that super secret Discord I mentioned, please consider becoming a patron. These fine folks are already enjoying the benefits, and to them I want to say a gigantic thank you. Also, my mom is a patron, so thanks, Mom. You can get both of these songs on Bandcamp for free or any price you think is best, and you can also listen on streaming platforms by checking out the links in the pinned comment. There will be another video coming real soon. I have a million billion suggestions, but until then, I've been Jeffrey Day. You've been a beautiful audience, and I hope you're back again for the next video. See ya!